What's up, guys? Welcome to Operation B, the podcast. I am your host, Jamie Thurber, and I am here to take you on a journey of deepening, of expansion, of understanding more about who you are and why you're here and how to operate in an optimal way that allows you to do what you want to do, feel how you want to feel, take care of yourself truly, and support everything that your heart desires. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is your host, Jamie, and thank you for being here today. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that you're having a beautiful day. And I'd like to ask you real quick before we get started, take a second and release any tension that's in your shoulders. So if you're not sure if you have tension in your shoulders, lift them up like you're trying to touch your ears with your shoulders, and then in a big exhale, drop them down. Let them drop. We all walk around holding tension in our face and our shoulders and don't realize we're doing it. And it's just not great for all of our systems and parts. So that's how we're going to start today. What I wanted to talk to you about today might piss a few people off, but that's okay. As you know, one of the whole purposes that I believe in and that I think is piece of why I have a platform, and have for so many years, is that if I can offer a perspective shift or just a thought that you've not yet heard or that hasn't resonated with you from someone else or whatever, that's always going to be my goal. So the idea is that I know a lot of people don't necessarily interact with much more than like their 10-mile radius of humans in their little circle, and a lot of that people live in a world where everyone you speak to looks like you, thinks like you, and their lives are similar to yours. There's nothing wrong with that. But the reason that I love mentioning it is because when that's all you know, yeah, it can maybe keep you safe from like stressful other topics, but at the same time it also can prevent you from expanding your own ability to heal yourself, to live life in a way that you genuinely want to. It can prevent you from getting past things that may be holding you back or stressing you out or frustrating you, whatever it is. So one of the things I really wanted to go over here is how we often identify way too much with a label or a diagnosis. So here's an example of this. When I started my company online and I was trying to make a name for myself, it became the Jamie gets shit done, right? Jamie gets shit done, get shit done with Jamie, Operation Do, get shit done. Like that was a thing. And wow, how many times can somebody say the S word in like 2 seconds? My bad. It became, and it's not that it's not true, but it became part of my identity. And so as I had to take a pause a couple of years ago for my health, during that process, which I've touched on a little bit in our previous conversations here, during that, I had to really let go of some of these identity pieces, some of these like rules, quote unquote, that I had taken on as parts of myself, of things that made me feel valid, of things that made me feel worthy, of things that made me feel good enough. And we do this without realizing it, meaning we take them on and we really embed them in like this cellular identity of who we are without realizing we're even doing it. So I really hope you will stick with me through this conversation, open your mind, and hear me out. I have a few examples of myself and clients and other things. And my purpose behind having this conversation with you is really setting you free. A lot of times we will have symptoms that we feel and where our brain wants to intellectualize them. Our brain wants to create a reason. It wants to understand why. And so when we do that, we're creating, again, we're like grabbing that I'm this way and tucking it in the pocket. And then parts of self believe that that's all we are or can be, which is not what we want. So when we're trying to be a sovereign creature, which means we're governing ourselves, we're actively making decisions in the moments versus having preconceived notions basically of everything or being like an autopilot. It's a much freer way of living, but you have to get yourself there. And what that means is you're working on your patterns, You identify pieces that maybe you grabbed onto that make you feel safe or like I said, make you feel valid. And so they just become almost an excuse really, or like a reason why you are the way you are, which first of all, you don't require to tell anybody a reason why you are the way you are. Like there's no need to validate or like explain that to someone. And that in itself can take a huge weight off of your shoulders. Like, because once you get to know yourself in a beautiful way, like understanding parts of self. So if you haven't listened to the previous episode, I suggest you go listen to it where we talk about parts of self and that there are no bad parts. That's very important also in setting yourself free from some of this constant stress and heaviness we carry around. But back to the identifying piece. So if we were to set ourselves free in a way that lets us grow and expand and truly live life the way we want to, letting go of outside forces that have placed something on you is a huge piece of that. So, example, I have a client who would always tell me, I'm such a hot mess. Like, I'm such a hot mess. Her other thing always was, I'm really bad at computering. Like, I'm not good at that. So, I would tell her, first of all, I would just correct the language because we don't need to be talking to ourselves that way, anyways. And I'm like, you're not a hot mess. Like, you're really not. You're getting plenty of things done. You run a successful business. You take care of a household. You have a good relationship. Like you're not a hot mess. But what we identified in our conversations where it was that because she was always rushing, meaning she was very busy, she liked it and thrived in that busy, like chaos space, that it was an excuse for her to like basically get people not to ask her questions about the tornado that was going on for her because people who run their own companies and live their lives differently often do find themselves in a pattern of over explaining themselves to the other people in their lives that don't understand what's required of you to live in that different space, to earn money in a different space, to not get a paycheck, to run a company. Like it's just very different. And so oftentimes I find my business owners, and I've done this myself, really like muting down their genius because they don't want to explain it to the people that love them or the people that are in their immediate circle who don't necessarily understand. So for her to say, I'm just a hot mess, like that made everybody else not ask questions about why she had, 17 things to do that day and things that they just thought, oh, wow, that must be too much. Like you shouldn't be doing that. So I have another client who, when we first met, she came to me because everyone in her life was telling her she needed to hire a team, that she was so stressed out, needed to hire a team. She hired someone and it was like a disaster. And and she had been given the label of like overworker, right? Works too much, has too much on her plate, spreads herself too thin. So what ended up happening after we had a few sessions, well, first of all, after our first session, she ended up actually firing the girl that she had hired because it had been plenty of time that this person should have picked up on the position, and instead it was making more work for her than helping her. And what we realized wasn't that she needed an assistant. What she needed was to set up some systems in the other parts of her life. So in her home, in how she was getting her food and her fitness, setting up these systems in these other parts of her life allowed her to do what she really wanted to do, which was to do the work herself. And so again, now we don't identify her as this overworks, spreads herself too thin. Instead, it's this person who's really good at delegating. And because she can delegate on the other areas of her life, she can focus on the things that she actually wants to do, which is her work. And so, again, oftentimes, like, the joke that's going around, if you haven't seen it about AI, is people are like, I don't want AI to draw for me and write pictures for me. I want AI to like do my laundry. I want AI to clean my house. I want AI to fold my clothes and put them away. This is similar. So like some people, they think they're they think they're helping you by giving you advice, but if they're not in your business, if they've not been in your industry, if they don't understand what it is to own a company, if they also don't take the time to understand what you truly actually are desiring from how you're spending your time, then their advice is it's not going to be suitable for what it is that you're looking for. usually. It's not going to be helpful. And a lot of times it turns people on their heads because they're like, well, my mom and my sister and my this think that this is what I need to do. And it's like, but they don't know. They don't understand this piece. So again, in this instance, she's no longer spread thin. She's using this space and time. Is her schedule still busy? Yes, she runs a very successful company and she's happy with her workload. She's getting everything done. She's not behind. And the other things that were creating stress are being handled by somebody else. And the conversation that she was having with the people in her life has changed too. Cause it's not, oh my gosh, you're so spread so thin. It's instead like, tell me about what all you're working on, like those kinds of things. So we have also laziness. A lot of people are like, don't want to, this is such a funny one. I've had people that I've known online that have met through networking groups or functions or whatever. And they like didn't want to tell me that they watched TV shows. I remember during the pandemic, this was a really big thing. So I had some friends all over the different parts of the country that I was like, okay, let's watch a show together, right? Like, let's watch 3 episodes of this show and then talk about it. And this guy like didn't want to tell me that he watched TV, and I remember being like, what? And he was like, well, you're so busy and you're always getting so much done. Like, I didn't want to really tell you I'll like veg out on an afternoon and watch TV. And I was like, why? That's human. I do that. Like, I'm an advocate for watching movies and TV, quite honestly, as long as you're choosing things that aren't disrupting your mind and your spirit. Like me, everybody has something different. Like, I can't watch anything that has snakes in it. I'll have bad dreams. Like, it's just the way it is. So I don't do that. Like Tony can't watch things that are in a way like death defying, like people doing like cave jumping and shit like that. His hands start sweating, it makes him anxious. We just don't watch it because his body gets unsettled during that. So you have to pay attention to those things. But anyway, it is not lazy to watch TV show. Like, this label of lazy is outrageous. Like, rest is not lazy. Choosing to sit and veg out in front of the television and watch a show and let your mind relax, not lazy. Again, especially if it's a choice. It's like slothness or whatever it is in the 7 deadly sins. Is that what it's called? Anyway, you know what I mean. It is not the same thing as choosing to relax, on an afternoon or in a weekend or whatever. That is not the same. So we label ourselves lazy entirely too frequently. Like, stop it. You do not need a label to like justify your behavior. That's one of the big pieces. The other one is like, I'm again back to the hot mess. So many women, such a hot mess. Or men like, oh, I don't want to be an asshole. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me about this. Like, why do you think that people are going to think you're an asshole? And what typically is that they're scared that if they reprimand someone, and when I say reprimand, it's really like, hey, holding them accountable, that people are going to think they're an asshole. The reason where that comes from is not that they're an asshole, it's that they don't speak up about it until it's too late, and they're so frustrated that it does come out like they're an asshole instead of handling it from the beginning. So instead of me saying like, or I'm not a good leader, that's another thing. People like to say I'm not a good leader, and I'm like, okay, well, how are you managing your own things? And typically the answer is, well, not great. So instead of focusing so much on how you're not a good leader, why don't we focus on like really taking the reins of your time in your day and let that roll downhill and affect the people that you're leading, because we lead by example. Like, those kinds of labels. So there's a fine line between identifying or acknowledgement, or identifying a part of ourselves as an acknowledgement or an ability to help us grow or expand, versus accepting and using said label as a reason that you can't do something, or reason that you don't have something. Now, don't come at me with diagnosis as far as like paralyzed and things that are like, stick with me on the conversation and you'll understand what I mean. We have this fun thing that's happening. So you guys know I live in the like human development world. Or human behavior world and personal development, and I have for a decade. I also live in the spirituality conversations regularly. So I'm involved in the private conversations people are having, but also in I'm very observant of what's happening publicly. So we get these very hot topic, what my therapist refers to as pop culture terms that people become a little obsessed with. And unfortunately, when that happens, it gets so muted and so skewed that it's actually no longer really serving. Instead, it's becoming like an excuse or a reason. So, like, everybody's a narcissist. Just ask Instagram. Everybody's a narcissist. Everybody has ADHD. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody has blah, blah, blah. You name it. There's these hot topic words that become really popular, and then they become this like funny reels and funny things to identify. But what I find, and like making light of something if you choose to, and that makes you feel better, like whatever. But choosing to take, I'm going to use ADHD as an example, and I feel qualified to use this as an example because I live with the poster child for ADHD. Tony is the textbook definition. He Things that are uppers are for normal people or other people are downers for him. So if he drinks a cup of coffee, he goes right to sleep, like hard, like falls asleep really, really quickly. He can use a 5 hour energy and sip it literally throughout the day, and it keeps his energy consistent. Like these are things. He used to take Adderall way back in the day, and I watched the roller coaster ride of that. It was a nightmare. Um, but anyway, I live in that world with him. And I now have taken the time and ability, just like he has with me being sick a lot. I've taken the time and the ability to learn that that's not a label, that's not an excuse, but it is a way that his brain works differently. So that's my point here. And that's what I wanted to, when I say I'm qualified to have this conversation, that's why. So, what I know to be true is, are plenty of people ADHD, depressed, and have anxiety? Absolutely, they are. Absolutely, they are. I've been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. We've discussed this here on the show. I will keep discussing it. The difference is, I have not labeled myself depressed. I have not labeled myself anxious in a way that then becomes a reason why I am stuck in a way. Can I say, wow, that situation makes me very anxious and it has consistently made me anxious. I don't know what to do about that and I don't like it. Absolutely. So, but it's not the reason that I stay stuck in that cycle. It's not the reason that I can't. Instead, it's something I'm working on. And I've taken that commitment and that devotion very seriously. And as a result, there are now things that used to be cripplingly, like cripple me with anxiety, that don't anymore. So the thing is, and I saw this very good reel the other day by a psychiatrist who was saying the thing that's getting missed, and I feel like this is just so important. The thing that's getting missed is that when you get a diagnosis, it's not so that you can like tattoo it on your chest and like make that your entire identity. It's given to you as a tool to learn how to navigate your particular life and your particular needs with these obstacles that are presented to you based on said diagnosis. So you have ADHD, what do? You learn ways what distracts you most. You learned how to set reminders on your phone or on your little robot friend whose name I'm not going to say so she doesn't start talking in the middle of our conversation. You use one of these cubes that has, I got this from the Works Consulting at a work and women in business event. It's a timer cube. You can buy them on Amazon. Um, you use things like this. You find tools that help you. Here's the other thing. People who are ADHD, if they can learn how to harness that creativity in little pockets of time, they can be unstoppable. But instead, a lot of people choose to be like, I'm sorry, I can't focus. And I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do about that? Or do we just say, I can't focus and that's the story of your life forever? No, like that's not realistic. This is the real, like adult world and we have to function. So that's the part why I'm such an advocate for anytime that you're getting a diagnosis on your mental or emotional health, make sure that you're seeing a psychiatrist or psychologist because they're the ones who are qualified to make those diagnoses. Oftentimes, GPs are not. I know a lot of people who are on anxiety and depression medication from a general practitioner and have never been to talk therapy. Wow. Like, hmm, that is makes zero sense to me because medication, and I take medication, so please know that I'm not like against it. I have anxiety medication. I've used Xanax and it worked for a while. I take diazepam, so Valium is literally the thing that makes my body calm when nothing else will. Do I take it all the time? No, but it is a tool that I have available to me when I can't manage the other piece. Absolutely. Do I understand that when I first recognized that that was the medication that helped me, I took it way more frequently than I do now? Absolutely, because the difference is these medications are made to be a bridge, not a destination or not like a be all end all. They're made to be a bridge. Depression medication and anxiety medication is created to calm things in your mind. So same thing with ADHD, created to calm things to a place where you can then work on them. That's the whole point is that when you're given depression medication or anxiety medication and you're going to talk therapy regularly, what you're doing in the talk therapy is you're working through the things that activate depression and anxiety more. That doesn't mean it makes them go away, but what it does is that it teaches you coping mechanisms, it teaches you healing methodologies, it teaches you way of operating your life where this does not literally like handcuff you to said diagnosis and then that's just it. That's what I am. That's it. My goodness gracious, like we are selling ourselves so short by this. And it is so culture driven right now. And there's a lot of reasons that I'm not even going to go there specifically. Like I believe it's all very much by design. But my hope is that even if one person hears this and says, wow, okay, yeah, I was diagnosed with ADHD. Perfect. I mean, whatever. Not perfect, but you know what I mean. How can I utilize that information to excel my life differently? How can I utilize that information to life hack the way it affects me so that I can move forward and be more productive or feel better or feel less scattered or learn how to function in a way that is necessary for me to feel better and to achieve the things that I need to achieve daily to move forward. Now, sometimes the tool is giving yourself grace, but really what it is being committed to using that as a tool. A diagnosis is like, man, shining a light into a group of things that you can now discover and work with and decide which one of those things in that bucket help you. The idea is a diagnosis like that is to lead you down a path that helps you feel better, operate better, exist on a higher level than what you were before you knew. It's not given to you so you can sew a patch to your chest and use it as the excuse and the reason why you do every single thing that you do. I hate that for you. Like, it hurts me to watch people do that because I'm like, oh, you're putting your feet in cement. And then it just exacerbates all of the symptoms that you wanted to figure out why you had to begin with. Please hear me when I'm saying this. Please hear me and understand none of this is an attack on anything. This conversation comes from a place of desire to help more humans better live their way, to help more humans create and find pathways to life hack their way to greatness, whatever that greatness looks and feels like for you individually, not to be weighed down by a label or a diagnosis. Don't identify with it so deeply that it is the only thing about you because that's bullshit. We are all complex humans that are made up of all of our experiences, all of our unique talents, all of our unique memories, our unique skill sets, all of our loves and dislikes and likes, and all these things create this mosaic of a human. And if one of them is a diagnosis that can give you is enlightenment for you to work better, to move in a way that feels better for you, then that's beautiful. But not one thing identifies you. I've spent my whole life making sure that I'm not put in a fucking box because everybody wants to think I'm someone's secretary and I'm these things like that. It's just, it's a thing. Also, spent my whole life pretending that I wasn't sick. Why? Because I didn't want you to label me the sick girl, guys. Because what if that was what I became? And in some ways I did to myself, but if I would have, it just could have been way worse. There have been times that I've prayed for a diagnosis because then I would have information. I would have a path. I would have a plan. Instead, we're throwing spaghetti at the wall, figuring out all these 35 things that are now deficient and why. I don't know, the chicken or the egg. We don't know which one came first, but we're going to deal with it. But there's not one specific reason. And that's okay. I've accepted it. But it also sucks. So if you have a label that you're grabbing onto, please remove it from your chest and put it down on the platter of the things that make you you, of the things that help you function as an adult human in the world, and use it as a tool. Use it as a guidepost. Use it as a lighthouse. That's the point, guys. And we're missing the bar, and it's happening often because, again, people are self-diagnosing, and I understand why, because you're speaking to a girl who had symptoms for 25 years before anyone was willing to even fucking look at me properly and say, wow, I'm sorry that you have these symptoms. Whoa, what can we possibly do about them? I hear you. So please understand that if anyone gets it, it's me. And if you can hear from anyone, please use it as an ability to navigate your life in a way that serves you better. Please, please do that. So I wasn't necessarily expecting this conversation to turn into me pleading with you to accept these things as things that can be such great tools for yourself, but I hope that this was helpful. My idea again also is I always have a sentence or two on my paper before we get on a call. Before we get on a show. And then I just roll with it. And I trust that whatever's been needs to be said about this, whatever I believe in, it's true in my heart, will flow out of me the way that it's meant to. So, as always, thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure wherever it is that you're listening or watching that you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure that you do. And if you'd like to support the show, sharing it is a huge thing. Share it, tag us, share it anywhere, send it to some one person that you think might benefit from this conversation. And then if you haven't left a review for us, please do so. They make a huge difference in the growth of the show and the ability to get this message in front of more people, because the ripple effect that we create every time we have a constructive and helpful conversation can be so beautiful. And so the more you're able to share that for me and with me, the more of a bigger, greater, beautiful impact we can all make together. So thank you so much for being here. As always, have a great day. Thank you for listening to Operation B, the podcast. To support this message and to support the show, please make sure that you like, follow, and share the podcast wherever you enjoy listening. And be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. Thank you for being here, and see you next time.